Finding any way to sit that feels good for you, upright but relaxed. And just noticing the contact with the seat or with your chair. And then letting the body take a few longer, slower, deeper breaths. And then as you're ready, letting go of any control over the breath, letting the body just begin to breathe naturally, and setting the intention for this next 10-15 minutes to just set down any unnecessary pressure in the mind, in the body, and in the heart. Just allowing the mind to settle into the rhythm of the breath. Maybe noticing where that's most predominant for you. Sometimes for people, the belly or the stomach or the chest. Or even the nostrils. And for me, it's often just the whole body breathing. The mind is always looking for something to do, so we're just giving it the simple task of just kind of riding the waves of the breath. And softening the body. Maybe just globally noticing if there's any points of tension or holding. And relaxing. Maybe the forehead or the temple. Or even the muscles of the thinking mind and the brain or the jaw. Sometimes the shoulders or the shoulder blades can hold tension. So relaxing the shoulder blades, letting them come together a little bit, which can release the arms and the hands. And softening down through the chest, the stomach, and the belly. And scanning down through the legs, just feeling again the contact with your seat, feeling the weight of the body, and relaxing through the upper legs, the knees, the calves and shins, all the way down through the feet. And maybe just for a minute here, visualizing with each out-breath that any remaining tension or stress, that the out-breath can carry it down through the legs, through the feet, into the floor. Just melting away any unnecessary holding or tension. And bringing the awareness to the whole body. And staying with the rhythm of the breath. And every time the mind wanders, there's just this simple return. It may seem like nothing or insignificant, but every time we return, it's an expression of agency and freedom. To not let the mind itself decide where we're going or what we're reflecting on. Right now, we're just breathing. We don't need to hold the weight of every problem in our lives at every moment. It's okay to set things down and let the body reset. Now from this place, with the mind settled a little bit and grounded, I want to invite you to bring to mind any situation that evokes social anxiety. That could be a particular situation, or it could be more broad. Just allowing this vision of this experience to be held in the mind, inviting it in. Maybe this is sitting in front of a room full of people. Maybe it's walking into a space. Maybe it's being observed by someone else. We're allowing ourselves to feel that experience of social anxiety, rather than pushing it away. It's okay to allow it to arise. And as we bring this situation to mind or experience, notice what happens in the body. How does the body respond to just the thought of this experience? Really let yourself go there. Notice, is there tightness, tension, heat? Does the heart rate go up? Sometimes the belly wants to clench, or other parts of the body tighten up. Just noticing, observing with this quality of mindfulness, of non-judgment. And similarly, noticing what's happening in the mind as you bring this to mind. If there's judging or replaying, imagining, just noticing what the mind is doing. And then noticing the mind's attitude towards the experience. Is there aversion? Does the mind want it to go away? The feelings, the thoughts. Is there a desire to not be there, to not be seen? And then also noticing if there's craving, if there's wanting it to be a certain way, wanting to be perceived a certain way. Noticing this aversion and this craving, it's not ultimately you. It's just the reactivity of the mind, pushing and pulling against experience. Noticing if there's any aversion to sound happening. And then for these last few minutes, just seeing if it's possible to allow this experience in the mind, in the heart, in the body, to be just as it is, without pushing, without pulling. Whatever sensations are coming up in the body, whatever thoughts are coming up in the mind, nothing to fix. Meeting that experience of anxiety with the quality of compassion. I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for you. Silently offering these phrases from the heart to whatever's coming up in the mind and the body. I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for you. Again, nothing to fix. Dropping aversion, dropping craving. Meeting the experience as it is with an open heart. I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for you. Spending 1 or 2 more minutes meeting any of this experience of social anxiety with love and acceptance. Now letting everything go. Letting go of any images, letting go of any residual tension, letting the body really relax. Just inviting in a sense of spaciousness, ease. And maybe even appreciation just for challenging yourself to turn towards something difficult with open arms. So yeah, we just kind of land again here for a minute, and I'm going to share just a few thoughts, and then we're going to open it up for some group discussion. Maybe taking your breath and just noticing how you're feeling. Letting go of anything that needs to be let go of. So social anxiety is obviously a very common human experience. That was like one of my hopes for tonight, is just to normalize something that I think everyone struggles with on some level. And at the core of it, there's a fear of being seen or judged in, I think, some deeply conditioned way that goes way, 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 way back in human existence. And I know for me, this started probably in my teenage years. And I think in a lot of ways changed the trajectory of my life, if I'm honest. It was kind of like anything to escape the discomfort of what was happening in my nervous system during that time. It was so unpleasant and just palpable. And it's definitely what drove me into addiction. You know, when I look back on it, it was the core thing, especially to drinking, you know, to find some escape from it. And so, to come at it from the Buddhist perspective, the mind tends to approach unpleasant experiences like this from one of two directions. Just like one, craving, well, in social context, right? Craving, wanting approval, wanting to be liked, wanting to be perceived a particular way. And then aversion, wanting the anxiety to just go away and having no control over that, right? This aversion to this thing that I can't control. For me as a young person, I was like, this is killing how I want to be perceived by others. I just want to be this chill person that's relaxed. And if I'm seen as this anxious person, this is not the vibe I'm trying to project, right, as a teenager. And so the social anxiety is not just the feeling itself, but also how we relate to it. There's this layer of the relationship to the experience. And it's this added layer of how we relate to it that turns it into, in Buddhist language, we would call like a self. There's this me that is like this. There's this me that doesn't want to feel like this. It starts adding this narrative layer. And so the mind creates this story or narrative that like something is wrong with me. But in reality, all that's happening is just causes and conditions, right? No one chose to get anxious. It's deeply conditioned by past experiences, by just the biology of the body that I think we're born into. And it's just something arising in the nervous system. So the narrative, this kind of socially anxious me, is really just made up of some unpleasant feelings, maybe thoughts, maybe sensations. And it's not ultimately who you are, right? It's just something that arises and passes. But when the mind gets tangled up with it, it identifies with it, and it kind of turns it into something bigger. So the key shift in practice and in mindfulness is to change the response to the experience. If the habit is to numb or to avoid or to escape, like for me, so many years of drinking just so I could feel relaxed around other people. The practice then is to turn towards the experience with awareness, like we did in the meditation today. And this is something that I wish someone would have taught me when I was so much younger. I think it's such an important skill set of like how to relate to this thing that you will surely experience at some point, and that you don't have to run from it and hide from it, and it's okay. So the practice isn't trying to eliminate the anxiety, but just learning how to meet it differently, meeting it with heart, meeting it with compassion, the same way you would maybe meet a friend or someone who is struggling. And so this quality of compassion is an innate human capability. Also the ability to be patient, to accept what's happening rather than to push it away. The practice is, can I just be with this moment with kindness, with an attitude of kindness towards it? And I really think so much of this, of social anxiety, comes from some deep biological human need to be accepted by community. If you go back however many hundreds of thousands of years, if you were rejected from the clan, you were probably dead, right? You needed the people to accept you, your group, your crew. And so I think there's some deep fear of rejection that is still in human DNA, that shows up in ways that's maybe a little distorted at times. The fear is so big for what's happening. I'm not an expert on it, but just some things that I've read. So to meet it with patience, with kindness, I think a key part of that I just wanted to convey is really meeting what's happening in the body. Because I think so much of anxiety is arising in the body through tension, through the elevated heart rate, through the closing down. And the mind is the story, and definitely that's part of it. But I think what the heart really has the capacity to meet is that feeling of it in the body, right? And to meet it, assure it that we're here for the experience, then it can start to loosen its grip a little bit as it gets that feeling of it's okay. The feeling itself gets that feeling of it's okay for me to be here. This has been a huge part of my practice for like 10 years now, is working with fear and anxiety, social anxiety. And so over time, it can just become almost like an old familiar friend rather than this villain that I'm trying to murder or get rid of, right? Like, it's okay. I see you. You can even give it a name. So, untangling the mind from the story of this being me and who I am and how people perceive me, or the story that people don't like me because I'm anxious, or that I should not be feeling this way, right? That's the first one that comes up for me. And turning towards the direct experience of the body like a loving friend. I see you, I'm here for you, wishing that, just wishing well. And this can start to free the mind from the tangles of the resistance, the pushing, the pulling, the not wanting it to be there. And it makes it possible to hold the experience with an open hand. And over time, can change the relationship that we have with the experience. So that's all I have to share.